episode of Two Old Men in Chairs. I'm Corrin Strong.
And I'm Howard Bell.
So last week we did a song by Samson called The Sixth Sense, which I thought was one of our best. A very in-depth discussion about what happened on January 6th. We didn't hold anything back. We said what we thought about January 6th and the attempt to politicize that. The video was doing pretty well. We had over 100 views, I believe. And then yesterday it was removed by YouTube as violating the community standards. And specifically, apparently, you're not allowed to say on YouTube that there might be anything fishy about the 2020 election. So Howard, please, don't tell the truth. We live in such a fucked up world.
If we do tell the truth.
If you tell the truth, you get banned.
You won't be heard.
You cannot be heard, even though a great majority of Republicans believe that the election was funny. And the latest figure I saw, like 30% of Democrats would even admit that.
Well, in reading the message that YouTube sent to us explaining our being banned, I was interested. The statement itself does not make any judgment of whether the election might be fraudulent or not. It just says you're not allowed to do this. It's a collective decision that you're only allowed to speak on certain subjects. We're not.
But we know, Howard, that it's only right-wing people that are not allowed to speak. If someone wanted to get on YouTube and say, that the 2016 election was stolen by Trump because he colluded with the Russians, any election that the Democrats lose, if someone complained about that, that'd be fine. You can go on YouTube and you can see. I mean, look at Stacey Abrams. She's made a career for the last 4 years or more of claiming that she was the rightful elected governor of Georgia, and that the election was stolen from her. I don't see anybody, banning her from YouTube.
Yes, it's only certain positions on certain elections that are disallowed.
Yeah, we know the third rails that are out there. Vaccination is another one. You're not allowed to question whether it's safe or effective. You can't even talk about whether masks are safe or effective. There's a number of things that we know from our experience on other social media that you're not allowed to say. And to be honest, I don't know how long we're going to last on YouTube, because they could go back, now that they've discovered, that we're bad boys, they can go back and they can look at some of our other videos, and I'm sure they can find other violations of community standards without trying too hard. I'm surprised we lasted 2 months before our first video got taken down. We do have another channel on Rumble, and we actually were able to put the Sampson video over there, along with a couple other videos that did not make it on YouTube for copyright reasons. We invite people to check out our alternate channel, which may eventually be our only channel, the way things are going over here. Because I, for one, am not going to censor myself and stop saying what I believe about any of these issues. That's the whole point of having a channel.
Exactly what I was going to say. It would be pointless if we had to.
Yeah, I mean, I realize some of the bigger reactors who have hundreds of thousands of followers and are making actual money doing this, they censor themselves. I see them doing it all the time. You can see the thoughts going through their mind, but they won't say them. We're not like that. If we feel some way about a song or an issue, we're gonna talk about it. And if that gets us thrown off YouTube, well, we'll see you on Rumble. But anyway, we thought it would be only fair, since we're down on a Samson song, to come back with another Samson song. And it just so happened that a while back, he did a song about censorship. Now, he was upset about censorship on Instagram, which we're not on Instagram and don't know very much about it. So some of this song, we can't quite understand, because Instagram really is more of a kid's media, and we're old men. But he does make some points here that apply to all media.
Instagram, why did you shadow ban me, guys? It ain't a spam-related issue, nah, that can't be why. It must be my content. Must be too much for some, but don't you read my comments? People really love my stuff. I don't talk.
That's a good point. People read our comments. People really do love the fact that we are straightforward and honest, and they agree with us. We have hundreds of comments from all over the world.
Yeah, even when we disagree, they like that. So, you know, this
Yeah,
disagreement is
yeah. In
not a
fact,
bad thing.
some agree with you and some agree with me. You know, that's the way. Nobody's going to agree on everything, but we have a lot of support out there in the so-called community. So I don't know whose community standard we're actually right.
Content must be too much for some, but don't you read my comments? People really love my stuff. I don't talk about race or politics or religion. I tell stories, dang it, that's all it is. I'm just spitting. I just like to entertain while I'm rocking a wicked rhythm. So what the hell are you gaining from blocking my shit from getting the amount of views it deserves? I abide the guidelines, and yet you make me sit out and reside by the sidelines. I see way worse things on a day-to-day basis.
As way worse things are out there in terms of content on all the social media. I don't want to pick on YouTube, even though YouTube is part of Google and they are the biggest monkey in the in the zoo. But a lot of them are doing it. Facebook does it. Instagram does it. Twitter is infamous for doing it.
I'm sure the censors smell something that they don't like about Samson. Maybe a taste.
Well,
of
his
conservatism.
message, you know, it's surprising that they don't censor certain artists as much. They may shadow ban them. For instance, like going back to Chris Webby with Raw Thoughts 5, one of the lines in that video is, "Come on, Joe, we know you didn't actually win." I mean, if you're not allowed to say that, you know, how come his video is still up there? Maybe because it brings in a lot of money with advertising revenue compared to us, who brings in practically none.
Guidelines, and yet you make me sit out and reside by the sidelines. I see way worse things on a day-to-day
Right.
basis. I don't see any shadow bans getting placed on their pages. I see videos of people getting run over with cars, motorcycle accidents where they get flung over the bars, pictures of dead fetuses to protest abortions. Ask me, I think that's sort of grotesque and morbid. Animals getting their heads smashed in to raise emotion. What the hell does that have to do with saving the ocean? That's okay with you? I'm ashamed of you. I've seen a woman give birth, thanks to you. Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen all of that. And I don't want to see all of that. In fact, one of the worst things, you know, that's making the rounds right now is that kid over in Buffalo who shot up the Top Store, and he live streamed the thing, and the video is out and around. And a friend of mine had it the other day, and I said, no, I don't want to watch that. I mean, certain things you can't unsee. You know, you don't want to see them. We think we're being hassled in our little tiny reaction channel, but these big guys are getting hassled too. You know, they all talk about it. Chris Webby talked about, last week, talking about being shadow banned. He just mentioned being shadow banned. You know, there's all kinds of tricks that they play.
Establishment being synonymous with the system. These guys are threats to the establishment. There can be no doubt about it. So, of course, they're going to be
first
suppressed.
and foremost, because they speak the truth. Anyone who speaks the truth is a threat to the system.
Yeah, I mean, they're the true dissidents of our time, and I'm kind of glad that through you I've learned about them, because I was kind of in despair that nobody was saying anything.
I'm ashamed of you. I've seen a woman give birth, thanks to you. Yeah, I was scrolling through the gram one day and I seen this post of a woman popping a kid out her snacks like a piece of toast. And speaking of children, what about this fucking shit with all these mothers posting pictures of babies sucking their tits? You really think we take the time to read that big ass caption? Fuck no, we're trying to see some side nipple action. What about my balls? Can I post pictures of my testes? Because if it wasn't for those, you wouldn't have anyone to breastfeed. And don't get me started on these supermodels wearing dental floss G-strings making their cooters wobble, but I'm not going to get into all of that. Because the fact is, I love looking at that shit. I mean,
Now, obviously, he's just having a little fun there.
Well, there is a double standard for men and women, but...
You know, we do like looking at, you know, as men.
Oh, sure.
We
remember
are
the National Geographics in the school.
Yeah, and people probably have no idea what you're talking about, but for us old folks, you know, before Playboy even, you know, you could get National Geographic, which went out and shot pictures in some tribe in Africa where the women didn't wear tops. And you could see all the frontal nudity that you wanted.
And in third or fourth grade, word of that would get around, and those would be checked out a lot.
You have no idea the world we grew up in. But he's having fun with, you know, some of the crazy things that are and the double standards that are on Instagram and other social media.
well, but I'm not going to get into all of that. Because the fact is, I love looking at that shit. I mean, come on. Who am I to freak out at a free peep show? So Instagram, for the love of God, please don't delete those. But if you're really going to be all stand up up and holy. You should do something about Danielle Bergoli. It's obvious you have an issue with my bad mouth. A bad baby can post pictures sticking her ass out. I find that kind of weird, and I'm not fronting either. Welcome to Instagram. We love slutty minors.
I had to look up that Danielle Bergoli.
Yeah.
And she's a lady, a young woman who became famous because she went on a television show and said, "Why don't you catch me outside?" or something like that. You remember that? It became a famous catchphrase. And then from that, she started a rap career, a video career. And I was reading she just bought a $6 million house. But she was like a young, rebellious young woman whose mother couldn't do anything with her. And she went on the show and she got the audience turned on her and she got mad at the audience. She said, "Why don't you catch me outside?" And from that, she became a celebrity.
Not fronting either. Welcome to Instagram. We love slutty minors. Little girls posting twerking videos are okay, but as soon as I say fuck, Instagram goes, "Oh hey, can't do that. Sorry, doop. Your page is banned," and I think that's absolutely just fucking outrageous, man. I know it ain't the only way that I can make it big, but it's something that I had going, so it really makes me sick. You're really gonna shut me down and throw me in a ditch? Do you even fucking know what social media is? Well.
Yeah, do we know what social media is? It's he's going to tell us here. It's a toilet.
Do you even fucking know what social media is? Well, I look at it like a toilet. You can scrub it and get down on your knees and scrape all the piss and crud off the lid. Take your sponge and wipe it off till it's 100%. And when you come back tomorrow, it's going to be covered in shit. All I'm trying to say is that people never change. It'll always be the same, so chill out a little bit. I just wanted to rap. I don't know what got up your ass, but would you please give me a pass, because I'm about to kill shit. You'll regret this one day if you take away my platform, because I'm gonna be big as fuck and everyone will be on my dills, Nick. There's a lot of terrible things on Instagram I see, so what the fuck is wrong with little old me?
He's going to be big one day, and this was a couple years ago, but he's not wrong about that. He's going to be big, and maybe Instagram will someday regret it. Shadow ban him, but probably not.
Take away my platform, because I'm gonna be big as fuck and everyone will be on my dills, Nick. There's a lot of terrible things on Instagram I see, so what the fuck is wrong with little old me?
That's some ill shit.
Yeah, well, I didn't fucking ask you.
Yeah, so that was Mr. Sampson's views on censorship. They were kind of specific to Instagram, which we don't understand all that well.
I consider myself almost a free speech absolutist, but when you bring up the title of child pornography or exploitation of child sexuality, I'm maybe a little bit on the censorship side.
But the standards have changed so much over the years. I mean, when we were growing up, you know, they didn't have that much video out there. We didn't have computers that we could, or phones that we watched videos on. The only video you could see was on the television, and that was strictly controlled. I remember when I went to college, I saw an actual stag film. In those days, a stag film was like an 8mm, maybe it was a 16mm film that they projected on a screen, and I'd never seen anything like it. It was my first pornography, really, or first video pornography, and they had two guys and a woman having sexual relations, and then the woman got up and walked off camera, and the two guys continued. I was so grossed out by that.
Well, my day, pornography came in the form of print media. It was mostly magazines.
Magazines, you know, Playboy, and then even worse than those. But actually literature. I mean, I can remember, I think one of the most famous cases was over Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer.
Or Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Books like that.
Peyton Place even. You know.
Books like that had to be published in France because they couldn't be published in the United States. And
I remember the one that was, when I was in high school, the one that was really riveting and was passed amongst us guys was Candy.
Candy. Yeah. Candy was, and Candy actually was written tongue-in-cheek, you know, but it had enough sex in there that, you know, we used to read those type of books for the good parts. You know, you didn't read the whole book, but you read the 2 or 3 pages where people were having sex, and you were riveted by that. And my dad had some Henry Miller books, which I discovered early on,
And I actually love Henry Miller, I mean, as a writer. And a very small part of his writing had to do with sex. But he was pretty good at describing that as well. I've read almost all of his books, you know, back in the day. And believe me, less than 5% of them were actually in any way sexual. But he was a great writer. The standards have changed so much, you know, I mean, and you could see almost any kind of pornography now, except for child pornography on the internet. And maybe that's available on the dark internet, but if you better be careful if you're looking at that, because you'll end up in jail.
It's still illegal, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that I find myself like a little bit hypocritical, because I guess I'm really not a free speech absolutist. There are things that I don't think should be freely presented to the whole world.
Yeah, there's got to be some limits on what can be said and what can be shown, and
But like you said, it's a slippery slope to that, you know, from the sexual to the political.
I think one of the Supreme Court judges said one time that he couldn't define pornography, but he knew it when he saw it.
Mm-hmm.